Greetings and salutations, Greek students. We continue our study of the Greek language by looking at the perfect and pluperfect tenses. As we're going to discover, the pluperfect and the perfect are different than the perfect tense in English, and so it's going to take some time to unpack what they mean. So in this first video, what I want to do is talk about the grammar and syntax of the perfect tense, and then in a second video, what I'll do is show you the various forms of the perfect and the pluperfect. So what does it look like in Greek verbs? And then I'll show you some examples of how to translate these perfect tense verbs. So let's get right into it here with the perfect tense, looking particularly at the grammar. So as we've come to expect, Greek verbs have the characteristics of person, right? First, second, and third person, as well as number. Are they singular or are they plural? Tense, so we have present tense, something that's happening right now in this moment. We have the imperfect, which is past tense, but it's portrayed as kind of a movie clip, right? It's got that that feature of something like an Instagram reel, right? You're seeing the things unfold. And we have the future tense, which is something that has not happened but will happen in the future. The aorist tense, which is something that is a simple past tense. The aorist, of course, gets also at the aorist or aoristic aspect. It's the snapshot. It's just the single photograph. Now we get into the perfect and the pluperfect tenses. Now the perfect and the pluperfect are both past, like the aorist or the imperfect, but they have that ongoing significance for something in either the present or in the past. I'll show you what I mean. Of course, we also have voice, active, where the subject performs the action on the verb. Middle, in which the subject performs the action for him, herself. And then there's the passive voice, in which the subject has the action performed upon them. We also have talked about mood. We have the indicative mood, present active indicative. So in the verb pisteuo, I believe, pisteuo in the present active. In the present passive, I am believe, pisteuomai. In the imperfect active, I was believing, episteuon. The imperfective middle passive, or the imperfect middle passive, I was being believed, episteuamen. The future active, I will believe, pisteuso. Future middle, I will believe myself, pisteusomai. Aorist active, I believed, episteusa. And the aorist middle, I believed in myself, episteusamen. So these are, of course, all in the indicative, right? They're things that are describing reality. And then there's the infinitive, to believe, pisteuein, and in the middle passive, to be believed, episteuesthai. So we've got moods, we've got voice, we've got person, we've got number, tense. And tense, of course, gets at when did the action occur, past, present, future, as well as we've talked about aspect. So when it comes to the aspect of the perfect tense, thinking about how the verb is being described, I think it's helpful to use this example. So this comes from Mark chapter 5, verse 25. A fairly famous story. There was a woman who had a discharge of blood for 12 years and who had suffered under many physicians. She spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. She heard reports about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she was saying, elegein, that is of course, the imperfect. And so if we think about the imperfect as the process of the action, as the video clip, when we use the imperfect tense here, for she was saying, we get this image of the woman perhaps chanting, perhaps going, if only I can touch the hem of his garment. She's saying, if only I can touch the hem of his garment, as she reaches out to touch Jesus, I will be made well. So what's happening is that Mark, by switching to the imperfect tense in verse 28, is wanting to draw our attention to the process of her speech. If I touch even his garments, I will be made well. And then verse 29, and immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Now, the aoristic, the snapshot, that is the undefined action, where we get just the Polaroid picture, just the Instagram picture. There was a woman who had discharge of blood. This woman, when she touched the hem of his garment, when she touched his garment, we don't, in this use of the aorist, the undefined action verb, we don't know how long. We don't know if it was just like a quick, like she just touched it. We don't know if she held on to it. It's not, the verb in the aorist undefined action is not describing the how or the length or duration or the iteration of the touching. We just know at some point this woman touched Jesus' garment. The perfective aspect gets at the resultant state of the action or the present state of the past action. And the image I like to use here is the slow motion replay. So when we see the imperfect tense, we're talking about a video clip. It's describing the action. When we see the aoristic aspect, we're seeing that snapshot, undefined action. The perfective aspect gets at what are the results of that past action. And so in this case, she felt in her body that she had been healed of her disease. In the perfect tense, what we're learning here is that she's in a present state of being made well. So it gets not just the fact that she's been healed, but the resulting state that she's in because of that healing. Now, the perfect tense is fairly rare in the New Testament, only a little over 1,500 occurrences. And so when it does appear, it's exegetically significant. We have to take note of it. We have to pay attention. The simplest definition of the perfect tense is that it's the present state of a past action. And so this gets us to some of the grammar and the syntax of the perfect tense. And next time what we're going to do is look at the forms of the perfect tense. What do these perfect tense verbs actually look like? And then we'll look at some examples of how to translate perfect tense